See that on the screen now. First, we're going to download some data from the Yahoo Finance API, and if you've seen some of my other videos, I'm sure you're familiar with how we do that by now. And then the next steps, we're going to do them in order, but we're going to graph two tickers at once, so you could view the actual price charts. 3, we're going to plot markers on those price charts of special events. 4, we want to shade an area of the chart, so like maybe highlight 2007 to 2009, the financial crisis or something. And 5, instead of shading the area, let's just change the line color for 2007 to 2009. All right, let's jump into the actual code here. So I'm just using a text file, and then you can run it from this Python Anaconda shell. If not, this you could just copy and paste into a notebook as well. So obviously we have our import statements. These are public libraries that we'd like to use. The big one for this is this matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. This is essentially the main plotting library in Python that allows you to create visuals. I, as always, print a start and end date for all my programs, just so we can get an idea of runtime if we have any snags. So here is the ever popular grab data function that's been in some of my other videos, but essentially what we're going to do is we're going to pass a symbol, a start and end date. A start and end date are the dates we want to download, and obviously the symbol is the ticker we are after. So I will use the pandas data reader function, and then this just adjusts the prices for if there's splits, dividends, whatever, so we get a nice price series. So I will go ahead and download data for SPY, the S&P 500 ETF, and the VIX, which is the volatility index, from 2005 to today, which is April 9th, 2017. Don't forget to do your taxes. Make into a pandas data frame. So essentially, after I download the data, I'm going to create this data frame, which I've named DF for data frame, and I give it the index from ticker 1. So basically the index, which is nice from the pandas data reader function, is set to our dates, which makes sense. That's a good index to have. So I make a new column called SPY, and I give it the closing prices from ticker 1, which if you look up here, ticker 1 is SPY. And I do the same thing with a column called VIX, gets the closing prices from ticker 2, which is VIX. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, I'm just going to uncomment it. Remember, a hashtag is one way to do comments in Python, which a comment means the interpreter won't read that line of code. So here I'm going to do this double square bracket with SPY and VIX dot plot. Subplots equals true. Now I will hit Control S to save, and I will come over here and run. So I named this file submark shade. So I just type this in, hit enter, and I will run this code. And then I will hit plot.show to view. And as you can see, we plotted our downloaded SPY and our downloaded VIX data. Now you can see at the bottom, the index is the dates as mentioned, and they have the same dates because our data frame uses the index from ticker 1. So that's one way. Now there's another way to create the same exact chart. Here's another. So I'm going to uncomment this section of the code now and recomment what we just did. So in this subplots option 2, you create a figure and an axis with subplots, and I just gave it some size, 12 by 6. That's arbitrary random. I'm just hoping that works out well. Then I set the axis to plot.subplot211. So what this is the first number is the number of rows, the second number is the number of columns, and then the last one is the chart we are working on. So after I set the axis to 211, I plot SPY and give it a label, and then I plot the legend for the first chart we are working on. So that basically just gives us our legend key so we can see SPY. Then I change the axis to 212. So same thing, 2 rows, 1 column, Now we're working on the second chart. And it moves in the way that you would read a book. So left to right, and then down, left to right, next row down, left to right, next row down, left to right. So you can imagine something, plot that subplot where you had 7 rows, 3 graphs, and you're working on the 4th chart. It would, it counts as you would expect. So then we plot VIX same way, and then we plot the legend for axis 2. So I will go ahead and run this now, and you can see that it actually is the almost an identical graph. The only reason the size is different is because I specified it here with this 12.6. Okay, I'm going to comment that out, and we will hop into creating markers on special dates. So with markers, we're going to do, we're first going to define an event. What is a special event? Then we're going to collect the dates of all those special events, and then we're going to plot, a rectangle or a little square marker on each date. So let's calculate the moving average for our data frame. So I do this in this line here. We just create a 20-period moving average for SPY, because if you remember, ticker 1 is SPY. Now for markers, I'm going to get the index number, in an enumerate loop if our close is 10 points or more below our moving average. So if SPY trades 10 points or more below its 20-day moving average, mark that date, and then we want to mark that date on our chart. So I will go ahead and uncomment our plot statements. So for our plot statements, I just gave it a title called Buying Opportunities, and you'll see why. And then I just plot it with plt.plot, the data frame SPY. I give it a marker. I make the marker's face color red, and then I use this built-in mark every. What do you want to mark? I want to mark my markers list, which again is here. So the logic in this list is a little more difficult, but all I'm saying is I want to loop through all of the days in SPY and check if this moving average is 10 points or more above the close. If it is, basically let me know what bar number that is. I want to store that in markers. So then when I go and plot, I just check, hey, if this bar number was marked, then just put a red diamond on top of it. That's what this D is for. So I'll go ahead and run this, and I'll show you what our output looks like. So you can see, quite interesting, maybe these are buy opportunities. Whenever SPY is $10 dollars below its moving average, maybe a good time to put some money in. But again, this is for educational purposes. Don't invest based on me. Okay, I'm going to comment this back out. Okay, now let's move down to shading an area. So shading an area is real simple. It just takes this new line, this AXV span. So all you do is you just give it a start date where you want it to shade and an end date where you want it to stop shading. The alpha is the color sensitivity or intensity rather, and we're going to do our shading in red. So again, we just create a figure, an axis. We don't give it a size this time like we did above. I go ahead and plot SPY, and then I just shade it with this line right here. So to show you what that looks like, nice and simple. You can see the financial crisis is clearly identified here and shaded. Okay, so let's move on, and that's pretty straightforward. And then remember, the start and stop date has to match whatever you plotted index. So if you remember our index way back up here when we recreated DF was dates taken from ticker 1. So that's why my start and stop dates or start and stop points are dates. That's important designation to have. So now let's change the line color instead of shading that same period. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark dates and prices, make 2 lists. This is not the most efficient way to do it, but it is the simplest way to explain it. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through the dates and closes in my data frame SPY. And I'm going to say, hey, if the date is greater than our start or it's less than our end, then keep that date and that closing price in these lists that we've created. Then I come down here and I'm going to uncomment this plotting section. And I'm going to plot our price data as normal, and the default is blue. Then I'm going to plot our X, our new X, and our new Ys. So our new X's are all our marked dates, and our new Ys are those prices from those dates that met this criteria right here. Then I'm going to color that new line red, and I'm going to give it the label the financial crisis, and then print out a legend key for us. So I will show it and then explain it once again. Okay, so you can see instead of shading, we've just changed the line color. And again, I did that by looping through the date and close of SPY. And I said, hey, if the date is greater than this start and less than this stop, go ahead and mark all these dates and prices, keep them in a list rather. Plot our regular price and then plot our special circumstances. Our X's are our dates, our Y's are our prices. Okay, guys, that's 4 simple ways to manipulate price data and get some visuals going, where you can mark special dates, change the colors of graphs, shade special areas, and create subplots. I hope this was helpful. And again, always, if you need to reach me, David@buildalpha.com. Thanks, guys.